Greetings! What is up, and a very warm welcome to the channel. The sun is hiding and the magpie is casting. Coming to you guys right now with a live 1 vs 1 battle featuring, spawning in the south, it is going to be the Wehrmacht forces of AGREYS. And spawning in the north, it is going to be the United States forces of Charlie Tango. So 2 new players to the channel here as far as I know. Can't remember casting either of these guys before, and I do usually remember these things. The map right here is going to be Faymonville approach, one which I can now finally pronounce correctly after many months of calling it what did I used to call it? Faymonville approach or something. I used to just add an L sound into there for some reason. But that is not the case. That is not what the map is actually called. Anyway, quite a nice map. One that actually, I really like this map because you're never sure if it's going to be a long or a short game. I've seen plenty of both on this map, you know. I've seen this game end because one player gets forced into their base and destroyed, you know, in 10, 15, 20 minutes. And I've also seen quite a few, you know, Pershing versus Tiger, Tiger versus IS-2, you know, these kind of late game scenarios arise on this map. So, one of the better, less predictable maps. Certainly, for my money, one of the better balanced ones as well. I feel like all the factions have a pretty good time on this map. And possibly my only criticism of this map is the strength of this one dream house in the middle, and to some extent this house here do tend to dominate the early stages of the game. If there's a faction, for example here we've got the Germans who can build an early MG team, you know, so if there's Maxims or MG42s on the field, Vickers guns and so forth, it can get a little tiresome, the early game plays, but I mean the map is actually small enough that you can counter that with an indirect piece pretty early and then have it hooning away very, very soon. So anyway, looks like these Grenadiers going to take a fight here, more than they can chew, of course. Though we've got we've got a rear echelon squad here, and these riflemen here, the American riflemen, very potent units. Well, hang on a second, let's just qualify that. The rifleman potent unit, the rear echelons less so. 2 of the echelons do go down there, and these Grenadiers are forced back. MG42 here, going to find some riflemen in its arc, and is going to start hooning them down. And we've got a German marksman, the Major, on the way. That is going to be turbo spicy, I think, against the USF. Traditionally, a very strong choice. The USF lacking counters for the sniper at this early stage in the game. And, of course, the high value of each individual model in an American rifleman squad does make them very attractive targets for the German marksman. Now, bear in mind, of course, the balance test mod that's in testing right now, I believe the United States forces do start with access to build a mortar squad. From their first building, so that is going to change the game radically, and also just give them something they can build which isn't god awful against snipers without needing any tech. So yeah, that'll be really interesting to see how that affects the game. Looks like these riflemen are going to move on in here to stop this point from being captured, force back these pioneers. Grenadiers here in support are picking down the riflemen. Remember, of course, Grenadiers very accurate. Doing actually great damage to these American units in the open, but there is 2 squads of riflemen here, and that will be enough to force back these Grenadiers. MG42 going to find yet more riflemen in its arc, and this is what I mean, the central building. You can feel the dominant impact it's having on the flow of the gameplay here. You can feel how restrictive it's being to the American player, because of course, you know, the American forces, if these were conscripts, he might have Molotovs by now, if he really wanted to. But of course they're not, so he has to research grenades, which for Americans costs a lot more. It's a much bigger investment. And he might not actually even want to research that at all right now. So this building, for now, very difficult to answer for the American player. Now, we've got a GR34 mortar squad coming onto the field for AGREYS, and I like this. Look at the lineup here for AGREYS. He's got 5 squads, and none of them are the same. It's pretty cool. He's got the Pioneers that he started with, the German Marksman, 1 squad of Grenadiers, 1 MG42, and the GR34. So that's a very well-rounded package, but it is a very fragile package. If these Grenadiers get forced back, or heaven forbid, if the MG42 gets displaced, there's no meat here, there's no muscle, and 4 squads of riflemen, which is the choice here for Charlie Tango, will cut through them like a superheated knife through very warm butter. Yeah, it's going to be very fragile fights here for AGREYS. He'll look fine until it all goes wrong, and then it really will all go wrong, and at best he'll have to fall back with everything. Or at least all of the units caught in the nearby fight. Whoa, the German marksman here taking a couple more hits than I would be comfortable with, going down to very low health. There are no veteran squads out yet. Well, I'll check the German base. No, I can see on the map, I don't think there's a bunker that's been constructed yet. So that German marksman is going to be wounded for quite some time. AGREYS is going to have to be very careful. Wow, looks like Charlie Tango determined to try and find the German marksman. Whoa! Whoa, that was the most dangerous fallback I've seen in some time. No reason to fall that sniper back. You could have just much more safely continued him moving along this line here. By falling back, you do expose him to some shots, and yes, the risk was low, but those rear echelons could have killed him there if they'd have just scored like 2 hits, which, you know, RNG being what it is, could have happened. Captain here going to be the tech of choice for the American players, so the bazooka-equipped American squad with the officer now moving out onto the field. And we're kind of at that stage in the game where, whoa, AGREYS actually floating a lot of manpower here. Not sure I like that. But we're at that stage in the game now where the American dominance is really at its peak. You know, 4 squads of riflemen and a captain represents a hell of a lot of direct, almost blunt, if you like, force. And this German army here, I mean, like, grenadiers, pioneers, a sniper, an MG42, and a mortar. Like, if he takes a poor fight, if the American squads come from angles which he was not expecting, or if they get a flank, then things are just gonna, like, he will just get broken like a twig. You know, this is gonna be like a Rottweiler playing with a puppy if things go wrong for AGREYS. Oh, that GR34 getting a near miss on that squad there. That was a close one. Oh, and this casualty here, probably going to reveal them. Maybe allow the GR34 to take another shot here. And it looks like the captain tech for the American player is being utilized. Looks like we do have a Stuart light tank on the go here. Still no sign of a healing bunker here from AGREYS, which does surprise me. He does have the requisite munitions to purchase the upgrade if he was to build that. Oh, looks like he may have just purchased an LMG42. Yeah, he has. But anyway, his munitions income is decent enough that when he wants to build that medical bunker, and it might be the next thing that these pioneers build actually, it should be ready to go. He has the manpower as well actually, so now would be a good moment to purchase that. This MG42 has been a lot of value this game. Only 1 kill to its name, but it's done a lot of suppressing and controlling of area. Oh, here comes the mortar round. Oh, that was a bloody good hit from the GR34 there. Cracking round there. Oh dearie me. Now here come 2 squads of riflemen though, and this MG42 is already low. The sniper begins kiting with good timing, so AGREYS unit awareness and control here. Pretty decent. Whoa, the sniper in a terrible location though! He could so go down with just a bit of focus firing from these riflemen. Oh my goodness. That sniper very brave here. He has been healed, so he was probably healed by the veteran ability on one of these units here, probably the pioneers or the grenadiers. So that's really nice. The LMG42 on the grenadiers also is going to give them a lot more action against these units. 222 scout car going to be the choice, and a pack gun coming as well. Now the pack gun awkwardly on the queue here can't actually begin constructing until the 222 finishes. Remember, of course, they do come from the same building here for the Wehrmacht forces, so they are going to come out piecemeal. And actually, this Stuart stands to just pick off the. Well, if he feels like being more aggressive with the Stuart, he can just come and kill all these units. I mean, he'll take a Faust, but that seems like a small price to pay. Now the 222 is going to show up just now. Here it comes. But the 222 could just be forfeit here. I mean, it's not exactly in a great position. In fact, there's not enough munitions for a Faust either. So, okay. Looks like the Stuart is going to respect the 222, though. Charlie Tango here prioritizing the survival of his light tank. And let's be fair, it does represent the most valuable unit on the field at this point. So, you know, he doesn't want to be reckless with it. So he falls it back for now, but if I just crack the tack, you can see a fantastic scenario that Charlie Tango has maneuvered himself into. AGREYS here with a lot of work to do regarding map control. Look at the resource differential, plus 39 and plus 63 fuel and munitions respectively for Charlie Tango, 13 and 21 the picture for AGREYS. So Charlie Tango pulling away from with a ratio of like 3 to 1, the resource edge right now. So that's really nice. The longer this goes on, I mean, he could have Shermans out before there's any sign of a Panzer IV, you know. If he's able to sustain this this kind of resource differential, but anyway, AGREYS is moving out, trying to address the situation. MG42 getting set up in a reasonable position here, and that's going to help control and cover these forward units. Sniper as well moving forward to use his extended line of sight here to provide early warning of the movements of Charlie Tango's units. Some riflemen here just taking a fight from a terrible angle. Actually, if he's very unlucky, he could lose this squad because they are in a terrible position. If the sniper takes a shot and then uses incendiary round, that sniper shot needed to hit. Being as it was a miss, there's no opportunity for an incendiary round to finish the squad, and Charlie Tango is going to escape with those riflemen. I would have been unlucky to lose them, but it was definitely a distinct possibility there. Anyway, the Stuart is just chewing into these grenadiers. They're taking unnecessary amounts of fire there. And we've got Panzer Grenadiers on the queue. Wow, I actually like this a lot, actually. I think the Panzer Grenadiers could stand to do well. Like, they'll do well against the infantry if he doesn't upgrade them with the Shreks. And in fact, he doesn't have the munitions for Shreks for some time, so that will be their role. Speaking of purchasing weapons for squads, though, Charlie Tango has finished weapons racks, and his riflemen and rear echelons are now busting out the BARs. And I feel like with the disadvantaged start that AGREYS has gotten here, like his map control has just never been able to compete with that for Charlie Tango. His resources have been inferior to that of Charlie Tango. That being the case, I feel like AGREYS is in a very dangerous spot right now. The addition of these BARs just provides, as he loses his pioneers as well, things going from kind of bad to kind of worse. But yeah, these BARs, like, this army here for Charlie Tango possesses so much more direct, just raw DPS. Like, it can basically kill all of these squads before they've even really had enough chance to put any damage on the American army if the German player AGREYS takes a poor fight. So this is a very dangerous spot right now for AGREYS. He's going to have to be very, very cautious. Oh, and he loses his sniper there to the BAR rifleman. This is the kind of thing I mean there. So he's just lost his most valuable unit. Just to a very low risk poke from these riflemen. Like, there was no danger of those riflemen being wiped out there. So yeah, Charlie Tango right now able to use the relative strength of the American faction at this point in the game compared to that of the German faction. Nice hit on the pack gun though. That Stuart forced to get out of there, and quickly too. And indeed, the MG42 covering the pack gun from getting taken out by these rear echelons of BAR. So, you know, something's coming together here for AGREYS, and it's by no means over. He still has a reasonable army. He still has an LMG on his grenadiers, and he still has a number of stars of veterancy here. And, you know, let's face it, Company of Heroes 2 is a very hard game to play as Wehrmacht against US on a map like this at this stage in the game. But, you know, likewise for the American forces, it starts feeling very difficult once you get past the 30-minute mark. The German toys just quite a lot, well, just kind of better actually, really, in the late game. Although the American forces do have a reasonable late game, but it's just not as good as, you know, Panthers and Tigers and things like that are all pretty spicy units, whereas, you know, without actually taking a commander, the top end of the tech is pretty much the Jackson for the American forces, which is very good. It is very good, but it ain't no Panther. So yeah, I mean, if AGREYS can weather this storm, he'll be okay. Speaking of weathering it, let's see how much time he's got left in the hourglass here. 380 tickets under 427, so a 47 ticket differential. Not too bad, to be honest, at the 12-minute mark. Given that the American player went for 4 squads of riflemen with a captain and weapon racks, things can go a lot worse for a Wehrmacht player. They really can. So, yeah, you know, AGREYS managing the situation here reasonably, which is, you know, if you look at the minimap and look at how the game has gone, you'd say, what, really? He's been getting hammered. Well, if you play as Wehrmacht and your opponent picks USF and the openings look like this, you are kind of signing up to be hammered in the early game. If this rifleman gets out, it's a miracle. Oh my god, he does get out. That was a 3-star grenadier with an LMG42. That was no small thing, getting that rifleman out of there, that grenadier out of there, sorry. If he'd have gone down there, that would have been actually terrible. And look, the sniper has been replaced here for AGREYS. Again, just catching slightly more fire than I would like to see him take. Taking a bit of damage there. Here comes the GR34 round, and it's a very nice hit there. This GR34 has been doing well. 6 kills, nearly 2 stars of veterancy on that mortar team. The MG42 is going to fall back, but is the timing going to give it enough time to get out of there? I think so. And the GR34 is actually punishing these riflemen. They're going to be forced back. Here comes the Stuart from the side, though. Finds the pack gun. That'll be the end of the anti-tank piece for the for the German forces here. Oh, that is brutal. Oh, and if I was an American player, I would take that in a hurry. I'd be amazed to see him kill this AT gun when he can loot it. Oh no! I just kind of think like AGREYS missed out on this game by like 10 or 15%, and what I mean by that is, like, you always get hammered a bit with Wehrmacht if the openings look like this, but if he was just able to hold like even a teeny bit more of the map, or push back the American forces, like cause 1 or 2 more fallbacks, or if he just didn't lose 1 or 2 of the squad wipes that he suffered, he'd be fine. But like the way things have panned out, like the way the dice have fallen, well, I don't want to say it's like entirely on the dice, because, you know, it's also to do with his positioning and his like ability to micro his units and so forth, but it just hasn't worked out here for AGREYS. And now he has a Stuart in his base, and like no map control to speak of. Actually, no, having said that, sorry, he does have a unit of Panzer Grenadiers out on the map actually doing something, so all is not, it's not hopeless, but it is very bad right now for the Wehrmacht player. I've seen bigger comebacks, and it looks like he's gone for the Mechanized Regiment Doctrine. That is going to give him access to the, it's so good I can't believe it's not Stug, the Stug Light here coming on in. And utterly Stuggily going to be coming on in. And that is going to help. Of course, it's very effective against infantry, which is the majority of the American roster right now, but it can harass a Stuart, especially if the Stuart is going to expose its rear armor like that. Oh, this is Stug coming out into a very strange location, though. Actually, the American forces never looted that pack gun, so there is an option to reclaim this for AGREYS, and that would stand him in very good stead if he was to be able to grab that unit. Major is out, by the way, for the American forces, and the forward fallback point has been established. So the pressure is only going to get worse from now on. And how much fuel does the American player... Whoa, he's got like Sherman money now. And in fact, he's chosen the Rifleman Regiment. What is it called? Rifle Company. He has chosen the Rifle Company. Whoa, the Stug going to force those American forces back. These riflemen going to have to fall back here. But yeah, the rifle company has been chosen, which means that Sherman Easy-8s could be the choice. I'm amazed to see a Jackson. I am actually amazed to see a Jackson. Really? Okay, because I mean, my thinking, the reason I'm so amazed is because a Sherman Easy-8, right, is effective against all targets, but it has a very potent anti-tank gun on it as well. You know, it's like an up-gun Sherman. And a Stug Light, you know, having seen this, you know that your opponent's on the mechanized regiment. You know your opponent is almost certainly going to skip the support Panzer Corps or the support Armor Corps. You know he's going to probably skip tier 2 and 3 tech, basically. So there's no danger of a Panzer IV or anything with more armor than this Stug Light for quite some time. The gun on a Sherman Easy-8 is more than enough to deal with the armor on this Stug. It can just rush up to the Stug and circle strafe it down, you know, if they were to just 1v1 each other. And I don't think that the Jackson really adds anything that the Sherman Easy-8 doesn't have. Like, it doesn't kill infantry. In fact, it's much worse against infantry. And it doesn't really kill the Stug any better than an Easy-8. Yeah, it's got a bit more range. Yeah, it's got a bit more power. But it's kind of like, when you're stamping on kittens, it doesn't matter if you're wearing, like, New Rocks or Doc Martens. You know what I mean? Like, just as long as you've got a good sturdy boot, you're still going to stamp on those kittens. And the Doc Martens, you know, you can get into nightclubs. You can wander about in the streets and feel a bit more comfy. Whereas New Rocks are quite a very, you know, they're a very specialised option and a little bit less convenient, a little bit less comfy to wear. The New Rocks in this analogy are okay, I take it all back. He did actually make an Easy-8. I just can't recognise the unit silhouette. That's quite embarrassing. Aw, it's quite enjoying that little analogy too. Oh well, that's alright. The Easy-8 here is going to plough on in, and it will catch this this Stug, which is scurrying back. But a Faust has come down. The engine is destroyed, and there is a pack gun somewhere hooning on this thing, isn't there? No. Holy shit! Where has all this damage come from? Okay, there was a pack gun hooning on it. Sorry, that's right. Okay, so there was a pack gun, but the Stuart's taking care of the pack gun. There we go. Magpie, do keep up. Do keep up. And more Fausts pinging into this Easy-8, which is utterly stricken right now. The Stuart here is nearly at 3-star, 20 kills to its name. That is a brutal tally. These stormtroopers, Panzer Grenadiers, desperately trying to get out. The Stug Light comes back in, trying to find the Easy-8, gets some hits. There are not enough munitions for a Faust, so these Grenadiers are just a forlorn hope here. The Stug is unable to penetrate the Easy-8. The Easy-8 there is actually probably going to... Oh, there was enough munition for a Faust at the last second. But he's going to lose the Grenadiers, he's going to lose the Stug. The Easy-8 is going to be able to limp out. He can just hop out and use American Superglue right now if he wants to fix the engine on that. A new Stug is called in, as AGREYS is able to do. But oh man, I mean his army 34 under 62 right now. Look at this. Look at the top left. Look at these 5 units, and then compare to the 9 units up here in the top right. You know, weigh that up. Ask yourself, who do you fancy to win this? And undoubtedly Charlie Tango will win any fight taken for the next few minutes, so superior is his forces. Now here comes the Easy-8. Sorry, here comes the Stug trying to find some shots on the Easy-8, but the armor on that Easy-8 is reasonable. Now the Sherman, oh my god, he picks up the Easy-8. Okay, that is very nice. I like the gamble Stug here from AGREYS. So that's pretty cool, but I mean this Stuart here is going to be really annoying for the Stug. He can use the, vision block gets damaged, and he can try to damage the engine if he wants to. He'll give the track shot. The point-blank engine shot. But he's not going to get that, so I think that this Stug's going to survive. And with the demise of the Easy-8, that was quite the pickup there for AGREYS. He could actually make it into the late game now, maybe. I don't want to speak too soon. There's also a BAR on the floor here. That would look very sexy if he was to get that onto his Panzergrens. What the? Okay, the sniper here revealing itself on a Stuart. Never what you want to do. Little bit of hold fire discipline perhaps needed there. And a pack gun here. This is now the 3rd time this thing's been recrewed. Again, deflecting the American light tank. In fact, the Stug is going to chase. Oh, gets a bounce there. And it's going to find all this infantry. So that's a potent target for the mortar. Oh, he finds the ambulance as well. Very nice. Oh, this is really annoying. With the American players, you do have these very soft units. The ambulance, the major. And if your enemy is able to overrun on top of them, like this Stug was just able to do, you stand to take a lot of damage and or just to kind of have to fall back your infrastructure. And that actually sets you back more than you might think. And it's very inconvenient for the American forces. So he's no longer going to be able to fall back here. So he's kind of lost this forward point here, which is really nice. And if this MG42 is able to get back into this building, that too could be very annoying. Sniper as well, capping some skulls here. And suddenly AGREYS, on the back of using a gamble Stug, now look at the top left, now look at the top right. Things not looking so bad for the Wehrmacht forces. And this is so often the case, as I was hinting at earlier. Wehrmacht just looked terrible against US very often in the early game. But if they're able to survive to this mid-game stage and then into the late game, they do start coming back. But hang on, because this Sherman Easy-8, okay, came in, got a good hit on the Stug, but unable to finish it. Whoa! Pack gun, though, hooning in on the Easy-8. That's going to force the American Sherman out. Some riflemen get into this building, but that will be for naught, I feel. Actually, though, the MG42 is flanked. So Charlie Tango making some moves. A lot of his units right now are regrouping, healing, reinforcing in the base, so he doesn't have a lot to work with in this fight. That BAR that I pointed to earlier, that has been swiped by the Pioneers right now, so some extra force. Whoa! Very good facing on this pack gun. That was ready for the Stuart. The Stuart here going to find some shots on the Stug, but whoa, the pack gun able to turn. Oh, not able to get a shot off though. And now the Easy-8 is back. That will take out the Stug, and there's no fuel for a replacement. Not right now. A Faust will come down. That's going to damage the engine. The pack gun is still alive, but no, not for long. One more shot needed there, and that would have been the end of that Easy-8, but it's not going to be forthcoming, and I imagine the GR34, like, that is never going to escape this. There is no way. There we go, they die. The GR34 is hemorrhaged. Now, there are Panzer Grenadiers out on the field getting some work done, and the hemorrhaging has been stymied to some extent by the fact that AGREYS has been able to hold on to this point the whole time. But Charlie Tango right now really is manhandling this game, and it's going to be very hard here for AGREYS to come back into this. Now, 254 under 394. So 150 points, the difference, sorry, 140 points, the difference here for these two players. Which is not nearly as bad as it could have been. And I feel like these little missions here to look after the VPs are really what's been keeping AGREYS, like, in the scoreline. If Charlie Tango had been wanting to choke his opponent out on the scorelines, he could have done it better, basically. But he still finds himself in a very nice position. Now, is he going to reman this GR34? I think I like it if he does. Yeah, he grabs the GR34, and that should be an instant fallback with these two squads. Oh dear, why is this rifleman, why is this grenadier staying around? There we go, get out of there, boy.
The enemy is overrunning one of our capture points.
These Panzer Grenadiers have been so irritating. Oh, now they're going to find some riflemen, actually, and they're not going to get into the cover. How are they actually winning this fight? Bundle grenade comes down. That's going to force the American unit to move and even take some damage. Whoa! Panzer Grenadiers. Kicking ass and taking names. And a timely fallback there from AGREYS. I love the way he didn't try and stay to trade for damage. He's pushed on manpower as it is, and I don't think he'd ever have taken that fight against the riflemen. So I like the flash fallback on 4 men there for AGREYS. That's really nice. Does he have a healing bunker yet? Oh, this healing bunker so late. Here comes another Stug Light, the third one. Going to be coming back out, and I hope he's a little more cautious with this one. He really doesn't have the fuel income to play it recklessly. As I just pause here for a sip on my drink. So a very interesting game so far. Typical in some ways, like we do often see American forces just dominate against Wehrmacht in this way. But I like the way AGREYS has held it together. It feels like it's been on the edge the whole time, but he is holding it together. The sniper here just taking more shots. 16 kills on that sniper, so, you know, even if he dies, he has been efficient. Here comes the Stuart, though. There is a pack gun here, very nice. And the sniper's just going to ping one off the bonnet. Now here comes the phosphorus barrage. Sniper falls back instantly. Pack gun relocates. Remember, the phosphorus barrage cannot kill infantry, but it will reduce their health down to a pixel. Oh no! But the Easy-8 surges forward, finds the Stug. The Stug now stricken. There's no support. So if the Easy-8 wants, it could even chase in and get the Stug. Looks like he's gonna. Very smart moves here from AGREYS. The Stug falling back very quickly, though. Here comes the Sherman Easy-8. Oh wow, look how much damage the phosphorus did to these this mortar squad. On a pixel of health. Literally a pixel, but still 4 men. So those 4 men, have hemorrhaged as much blood and organs and skin as is possible, and will die to a stiff breeze, no kidding. A Faust is going to find this Easy-8. I'm amazed that broke the engine, because the health on that Easy-8 was very high. And there is a pack gun, in existence. Here it is. So he could try and set this up, here, but that's very risky, because there's riflemen in the hood. If they get wind of this pack gun, things ain't going to be good. And now the MG42 in mid is forced back. 226 now, the score for AGREYS. Still bleeding out, slowly but surely. And, he's way past Tiger CPs, but he just doesn't have the fuel. So there's no help, no sign of a tiger-shaped lifeline here for the German player. Probably going to lose his pack gun here, as the rifleman going to catch that one out. Desperately repairing his only vehicle, the Stug. Oh, possibly going to lose these Panzer Grenadiers. No, they're going to get out of there. Again, a little bit lucky. I think if he'd have lost that, things would have been really quite bad. White phosphorus here going to be used again for AGREYS. Going to just hoon on this little operation here that we're trying to repair and hold that forward position. Oh no, now look, these riflemen are just hooning into exposed, incredibly low health squads. One of the phosphorus shells actually splashed the fallback point, so the entire Axis army. Wow, it makes your units move really slowly as well, I've just noticed. I've forgotten that. This army is absolutely devastated. There's one lonely grenadier here. Okay, he's being reinforced. He's going to finally build the healing bunker that AGREYS realizes he really needs. But I think it might be too little too late here. You know, there's a triple cap here for Charlie Tango. Charlie Tango has, like, tons of resources. Another Easy 8 going to be coming out. So even if oh dear, he just comes on in with the Easy 8. Yeah, he's just bullying the German player in his base. Oh, the Stuart, the 3-star Stuart with 31 kills. It's killed 3 vehicles. That thing has been MVP this game, I think it's fair to say. Oh my god, 38 kills. Just mows down all these phosphorused up, low health squads. And that will be GG. There's no way back now for Charlie Tango. Sorry, for AGREYS. And there it is. AGREYS has seen enough. He is going to leave this game. A very dominant display there from Charlie Tango. Never behind in that game, I felt like, ever. Able to utilize the early game strength of the American units, the riflemen, and then the weapons rack upgrade, putting BARs on those riflemen, and just looking really good that game, I think. His Stuart micro was on point, and I think the only real setback for him was losing that first Easy 8, but that was a bit desperate from AGREYS, and it was well within acceptable losses for Charlie Tango. So Charlie Tango, you know, looking really spicy there. I'll look forward to seeing more games from him. For AGREYS, yeah, I mean, clearly a savvy player and playing Wehrmacht as best you can in the face of an onslaught like this. I just think, I don't know, I'm trying to think of things he could have done better. I mean, like losing the first sniper wasn't so hot, and there were a couple of other things that he lost which were possibly needless. But I have to say, generally, he was actually very cautious with his units, and you know, played pretty well in the face of an American onslaught. I mean, the American a tactic like this for the USF is always better on a map where you spawn reasonably close to your opponent, and this map is, yeah, I mean, it's kind of wider than it is long, so I kind of think that this is quite a close map. Like the distance between your spawn and your opponent's spawn is relatively small, and that does make life hard for Wehrmacht. It really does, and it leaves you susceptible to your base being rushed. And you know, several times throughout this game, there were American units hitting the vulnerable retreated Axis units. So I think this is just a very, very, very tough game for AGREYS. In terms of things he could have done differently, I don't know. Another pack gun might have been useful. His very diverse infantry lineup I was a fan of, but I think he needed something to compete with this many riflemen. Another MG42 perhaps. Yeah, I think another MG42, so he had 2, would have been quite nice. Yeah, that's kind of all I can think of for now. Yeah, sometimes your army just doesn't match up against your opponents, and you just lose through having the inferior army, and that was pretty much the story here, so... Anyway, yes, yeah, I believe that concludes this broadcast. Of course, stay tuned for more stuff in the near future. I'll be casting Company of Heroes 2 over the coming days, I believe, until I get the replay pack from this coming weekend's Homeworld action, and then I will cast that as well. So yes, for now, this is Magpie842 signing out.